Okay. Are we on? Yes, we're on. Welcome to the Coffee Slut Podcast. I'm so excited to have you. This is Suzeth, right?
Yes.
Pronouncing it correct. She is a former UT student about to graduate. She is also the founder of Latinas Run ATX, and I'm so excited to have her. So I do want to start off with, what's your coffee order?
Usually, I always get a hazelnut latte like at any place,
Okay.
or if it's in season, I like pistachio syrup.
Okay.
But my all-time like favorite coffee here in Austin is the toasted vanilla oat from Naboyos.
That one's really good.
Yes, I love Naboyos too. So
I know, me too. I love it. So would you say that's your favorite coffee shop?
that's a hard question. I
Local
feel like
coffee shop.
Naboyos probably. Also, I do love this noodle.
Okay, I do love this. What do you get
in?
in this noodle?
I do the shoyu butterscotch, but I recently started doing it hot. And mind you,
Okay.
I usually like iced coffee, and it's pretty good.
Wow. I always get the popular one, the
Yeah.
miso,
Oh
because
yeah,
it's just so good.
so good too,
It's
though.
so good. But I've never heard of that one.
Nice.
So I wanted to highlight the coffee that we're drinking. It's called Dame Café. We got sponsored by them, which is incredible, and it's so good. They are located up on North Austin, and then also the founder is Latina, Austin Reyes. So go check them out. They have this marshmallow fluff that you've seen. It's so good, and she fires it up with a torch, and it's just amazing.
I have to try it. It's in my go-to
To
places, like
bucket
next
list?
one. Yeah.
She's so sweet. She's also at the Trail of Lights, which will be over by the time this airs, but it was so good.
For next year.
For next year. So I do want to start off with where you grew up
Okay.
and how did you land in Austin? Like, let's start off with, how was your childhood like?
So I am originally from El Paso, but I was actually raised in Juarez. So
Okay.
I lived like the first 7 years of my life in Ciudad Juarez, which is like border town with El Paso.
Mm-hmm.
And then I moved in second grade to El Paso. And I remember honestly, whenever I think about my childhood, I feel like there's a lot of memories that are blocked out.
Okay.
But being completely honest, like there's a lot of things that are blocked out or I don't remember much. But I will say like, I grew up, growing up in El Paso, like in Juarez, the Hispanic community was there, like very present always. Also, like I grew up speaking mainly Spanish. So Spanish is my first language. That's another thing that I feel like has ultimately like built who I am today. Like I am someone who loves speaking Spanish. But I grew up, again, I was raised in Ciudad Juarez, went to El Paso. Whenever I went to El Paso, I mainly went for school. So my parents decided to move because of my education. I feel like that's a lot of what people and Hispanic people experience, that your parents ultimately, like, in a way, have to sacrifice something for you to, like, just a better future, better opportunities overall. But whenever I moved to El Paso, it was actually just me and my mom. Because my parents were not together when I was little for a while.
Okay.
So they separated. They were together, separated, got back together, and then recently separated again. But I do remember, like, whenever we moved, it was just me and my mom. We moved with my grandparents, with my aunt, with my uncle, in, like, this very small apartment in El Paso. But I will say, like, that's overall, like, the feeling of family. Like, I've always appreciated my family. I'm very close to, like, my titos, which are my grandpa and my grandma. And then I remember, like, my cousin and I would also, like, stay a lot with my grandparents. So there's a lot of positive memories when it comes to that. But yeah, I do remember from my childhood, or at least when I moved to El Paso, like, there were so many things. Like, for example, we would take the bus every day to school. We would take the bus every day. I also remember, like, my dad would come and visit me every here and then. So, like, for example, on the weekends, he would come and, like, he would take me and my cousin to, like, McDonald's or Burger King or stuff like that. So I will say, like, my mom has always been, like, the main person for me. But, like, ultimately, like, my dad has always also been there for me. Yeah.
It's always like those little memories that stick. Like, I remember going to McDonald's with my grandparents all the time. Like, when I was little, because, like, we couldn't afford like anything else. Either it was McDonald's or Taco Bell, just the unhealthiest food you can think of. But how did your upbringing shape you into the woman you are today?
So I recently mentioned how, like, for me, my mom has always been, like, the person that, for me, she's my biggest role model. And I will say she's my biggest role model because usually in Hispanic communities, there's always the thing of, like, the man's supposed to be the one that, like, works for the whole family, the one that, like, el que mantiene la familia, etc. And for me, don't get me wrong, like, my dad would always, like, yes, take me out to places like Burger King, McDonald's, as I mentioned. But I remember when I was little, like, my mom would always be working. Like, she would hustle. Like, I remember she would always be working. And part of it impacted me the way that I grew up. Like, I've been forced to be very independent. Like, a lot of people say that I'm very independent, but realistically, I was forced to be independent at a young age. Because I remember she would always be working, and I would always just be on the side, like, playing with my toys, or I would use my laptop a lot. And I remember, like, when I was little, this kind of aligns with, like, what I currently do for, like, work and stuff, but I remember when I was little, I would always do, like, creative stuff on, like, Paint and, like, those, like, apps and stuff, which is, like, a full circle moment to now. But I do remember I would always be kind of, like, by myself on the side. And ultimately, that has really impacted, like, one, the way I grew up with and, like, who I am today. Because, yes, I was forced to be independent. I was forced to, like, look out for myself and things like that. But also, it's shaped the way that I, like, see women. Like, how I think a lot of the women in my family are very strong, because a lot of them have been, like, forced to work for, like, their own things. So, specifically my mom, I saw her working for everything. I see her as a girl boss. Like, I love, love, love my mom. And even, like, recently I mentioned that my parents separated again. I remember, like, I grew up in, like, a low income state, and my parents have always, like, struggled financially. But I will say recently, whenever they were gonna separate, like, that was one thing that it was like they low-key cannot afford to, like, separate financially, because they're both, like, contributing income to the house. So, like, if one separates, or, like, if they separate, it's not gonna go anywhere. And my mom still decided to, like, separate, because to her, she was like, I remember she told me, she was like, I'm still gonna be able to do this. Like, I'm still gonna work ahead, and I'm still gonna be able to, like, do it on my own. So that's reason of, like, why I'm always like, I want to empower other women, and, like, I see women as the most, like, strong, independent people because of my mom.
Yeah. I love that. Yes. I think also I can relate with you a lot on moms working all the time. My mom had me at 17 and she worked all the freaking time. She still does, which is crazy. And I think what I can relate to a lot is that I'm very independent because I was forced to. Being the eldest daughter is really hard. The hardest thing for you to, like, jump over for that independency, or for you to be like, I'm gonna fucking do this and I'm gonna do it by myself.
I think a lot of it has to do with me moving to Austin. So I moved to Austin 4 years ago. I am currently a senior, as you mentioned. But I do remember, I mean, again, with Hispanic families, like, whenever I started talking to them about, like, college, my parents have always been very supportive, and they were always like, tú puedes hacer lo que tú te propongas. Like, they've always been very supportive in that sense, and I do highly appreciate that. But I remember a lot of, like, family members would think, like, ¿cómo la van a dejar ir tan lejos? Or, like, things like that. You know what I mean? Because that's the thing about, like, Hispanic families, that, like, you are so, like, close-knit and, like, close to each other, that, like, at least a lot of people in my community, they stay back home because of that, you know? Or, like, other things, obviously, as well. But that's one thing. And I remember whenever I was, like, deciding between, like, universities and stuff, part of the reason why I chose UT was because it was closer than the other universities I had in mind. Okay. So, like, in a way, like, yes, I knew it was going to be, like, a jump of, like, independence, and it was going to be definitely, like, a transition, but it was going to be a less transition than it was if I was to move, for example, like, to the East Coast, or, like, somewhere else. And ultimately, like, I was still going to be in Texas. So in my mind, I was like, there's still going to be that Hispanic community in Austin. There's still going to be, etc. Which I'll talk about this right now. But, like, when I came to Austin, the Hispanic community that I thought would be there was not there, like, at the beginning. But I will say, like, again, just to, like, answer your question, I think just me moving to Austin made me 10 times more independent, because I am currently at a full ride scholarship. I do have a full ride scholarship. But I've always had to work since freshman year. I've worked every semester. I've worked every summer, because ultimately there's other, like, expenses that I have. And I can give you an example of this, but I remember my freshman year, I had my first job. I worked as a marketing assistant, and they talked to me about, like, whether I wanted to go back home for, like, the summer, or, like, stay and, like, work. If I wasn't to stay for work, then basically I would have to, like, quit, because I couldn't, like, work remote. And my family already had in mind, like, oh, she's gonna come back home for her summer freshman year. That, to me, I decided to stay because of work. I've always been very, like, career driven. But that, to me, was one of, like, the biggest lessons and experiences of all of my 4 years, that I remember I was living with, like, basically living from paycheck to paycheck. That was my freshman year summer. I was able to live at a studio because I worked in real estate, so, like, they helped me out with that. But I was basically living paycheck to paycheck. It was my first time moving by myself, living in a studio by myself, my new freshman year of college.
It's so hard.
Yes, and I feel like this is not talked about enough. I love living by myself, but, like, it was definitely a challenge getting used to that. And again, like, managing my own
Finances, yeah.
by myself. So that definitely like kind of built my intentions and like who I am for like the next 4 years of college. But one, moving to Austin and that specific summer definitely like impacted me.
It's so crazy because they don't teach us about.
Yeah,
they don't teach us. They don't talk about it, and it's crazy because for the first time, wow, 4 years ago, isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
When I was a freshman, my mom was like, "You are only gonna have one semester off." So I ended up just having one semester off. After that semester, she's like, "Yeah, you need to go back to work. I can't do this because it's just so expensive." And like, luckily, I know rent is 2 times more expensive, but like my rent with roommates was $500 at the time. And after just 3-4 months, my mom was like, "Yeah, like you need to go back to work. I can't, you have to take care of yourself. Like you're old enough." And I was like, "You know what, Ma, you're right. Like I've always done this." And just hearing that paycheck to paycheck is so fucking hard because you're like, well, damn, like I paid all my expenses. Like I have this much left for just if my friends want to go out and you live by yourself, right? Freshman year, right?
So freshman year, I live by myself. And you know what I think is like, again, it leaves. I feel like a lot of people, whenever they see like the way I currently live in or like how I live now, like they would never imagine that I was like at a station in my life where I was literally living paycheck to paycheck. But I even remember like, I mean, and I feel like this is very common whenever you first get an apartment by yourself. But I even remember, like, for example, like the restroom curtains, I would have them with like hangers and like stuff like that.
Yeah.
Because again, I was struggling. I was a freshman. It was my first summer. But I feel like a lot of those things, like people don't really like.
They don't see.
Think about, yeah.
They don't see the hard part.
Yeah.
A lot of people think it's like overnight success or whatever you are. It's just like, no, like you had to go through shit that you would never have imagined. Like, what's it called? Like I'm trying to think of a time in college. Like I couldn't even afford groceries for a period of time because they were just so expensive. I mean, not as expensive now, but back then it's like, fuck, okay, I have $80 for the rest of the week or the rest of the 2 weeks till I get paid again. And living paycheck to paycheck is really hard, especially a college student, because you're like, damn, what more do I need to get? Or like, I can't be going out. I can't be buying drinks. I need to do this first. Did college challenge your identity as a Latina woman?
Yes, but I feel like it also taught me how to embrace it.
Mm-hmm.
I grew up, whenever I first moved from like Juarez to El Paso, I remember there were certain things that I would feel insecure about. Like, for example, like speaking Spanish. Back then to me would be like, oh, speaking Spanish is a sign of like, I don't know, like I would feel inferior sometimes. Or like I would see being Hispanic sometimes as like being inferior, like things like that. Mind you, that's when I was like little, again, like maybe 11, 12 years old. Whenever I came to UT, I mentioned how like at first glance, like there was not really a Hispanic community at UT. I feel like there was everyone, but I would not see Hispanic people. And that was definitely a culture shock to me because my whole life I've been surrounded by Hispanic people. So I remember like what helped me a lot was that I joined an organization called the Hispanic Business Student Association.
Okay.
And I was surrounded by like so many inspiring Latinas and like powerful women. So that helped me like build so much confidence because to me it was like, if they're able to do that, I can do it too. Like if I see other Hispanic women like beating the odds and like working at like, for example, like this top corporate companies or like accomplishing like other goals, like that means I can do it too. So that's when I started getting more confidence in like, you know what? Yes, I'm proud. I am Latina. I am Hispanic. I speak Spanish. I speak Spanish really good.
Yeah.
Like, I am very proud of like my identity. So did it challenge it? It challenged it in the beginning in the sense of like, I didn't really find that community. But once I found it, I will say that it helped me like embrace it so much more. And it's something that now that I'm in my last year, like it's something that I am so proud of and like I love embracing.
I think especially in your career field, especially like in marketing, it's like you can make it so different because you can bring your culture into it a lot. And that's what I admire about you. And that's why I wanted to also bring up your run club.
Yes.
So I know we've talked about it, but for the people who don't know, Suzeth owns a Latinas Run ATX, and she hosts events how many? Once a month or?
It's usually bi-weekly. So I try to do every 2 weeks.
Every 2 weeks? Yes. What inspired you to start it? You joined that organization. You're like, let me embrace it. Let me do it. What was like the first like, yes, I want to do this and I want to do it specifically just for Latinas. and for them to get together, because your run club groups are massive. I'm just like, wow, that's so much fun. And I saw the one you recently did with the vision boards.
Yes.
And also, like, you're such a creative person and all these ideas. What inspired you to start it?
I would say a lot of it. I mean, I've always been someone who loves empowering women. And I think about it, like, for example, in like high school, I would do like community service events. I remember one time we went to read to little girls at my elementary school, like books about how to be knowledgeable and powerful women. So it's like, it's something that I've always loved doing, like just empowering women in general. But I think what really empowered me to like start a run club was the fact that I was part of the Hispanic Business Student Association, and I was in this committee called Ellas Committee. So I was part of the committee my sophomore year, and then my junior year, I was the one that like led the committee. And I remember what the committee was basically is like we would host like professional events. So we hosted like an Ellas conference. We also did we did a company field trip with Kendra Scott. We did like events like brunches, Galentine's, like things like that. But something that always stood out to me was how like there were girls who would come to me after or like would text me and be like, what you're doing is amazing. Like it's really impacting me. Like it's really helping me find like, my community or like my friends here. Like the events are amazing. And I think when you're able to see the impact that you're making on people, because sometimes you yourself don't realize that. Like sometimes I myself don't realize like, the impact that I'm making on people until someone's actually like, you really helped me, or like you really helped me find my community. Because it's not only Hispanic people, but it was women that are Hispanic within like the overall like organization. So that to me was like the most beautiful thing ever. And I remember I finished in May, like that committee was done in May. And I told myself, I was like, I don't want it to stop here. Like, I don't want this to just stop here. I want to continue doing something. I didn't know specifically what route that I was going to take. I just knew I wanted to do something. And then I've always loved running. I'm a runner. I love running. And something that I noticed, I went to a run club once here in Austin. And I remember whenever I went, it was a lot of men. First off, it was a lot of men, which is typical usual. The paces were like 8-minute pace to like 11-minute pace, but realistically I feel like it was way faster than that. So I realized I started like researching and like looking at other run clubs in Austin, and I hadn't seen one for Latinas. Like, yes, I had seen run clubs where there's like a lot of Latinos in general, but I was like, there's not one specifically for Latinas, which is surprising considering that there's so many run clubs. Like I feel like
there's a ton
of run clubs. I've seen random run clubs and I'm like, okay, I still support. But I was like, there's not one for Latinas. And I think something that especially like caught my attention is that I do a lot of workout classes on the side. And whenever I do workout classes, there's not really like Hispanic women. For example, I do core power a lot. There's not really Hispanic women at the workout classes. So I was like, I was trying to find like that gap. And I think part of it has to come with like the fact that like being Hispanic, you don't grow up with like people telling you like, oh, let's go work out, let's go on like runs or things like that. It's not wellness, and health and wellness is not necessarily like something that's
and it's not only just that too. It's like it's very costly for Hispanic people and for minorities. I think it's like too expensive. I know personal training is really expensive because I do it, and you know, majority of my clients aren't Hispanic, unfortunately, because it's just so high in cost. We're not educated in it, even when it comes to nutrition. So I really love the specific audience, right? Because there's all these run clubs in Austin, but it's like for everybody, right? But I think when you attract a specific audience, they show up. So that's what I love about Latinas Run ATX.
Yes. And I will say like, that's a good point that you brought up, like the cost. Running's free. So like that's another thing. Like if people are barely starting their wellness era, like this is a great way for them to like start. And then my main goal with the run club was ultimately like, helping Latina women here in Austin like find the community and like empowering them, but also letting them know like if you're new to this, like that's okay. That's why we usually do 10 minutes to 12 minutes pace, and then we also have our hot girl walk group. So I wanted to make it basically for everyone. I wanted everyone to like be able to join. But yes, I love the run club so
also much. Like it's like I've been to so many run clubs and I'm not a fast runner. And I love that you do 10, 11, and 12 paces because, you know, all these run clubs tell you, oh, we're going to have multiple pacers. And then, you know, for people who are slower, we're going to have somebody, but majority of the time they leave you. They don't care. They're just going to keep going. And if you're going to have to match their speed, but a lot of people can't run that fast.
Yes.
So that's what I also appreciate about yours is that it's not only a run club, but you can walk if you want to. That way you can still connect with people. For your run club, so that's when you realize the community is needed and you were like, there's slower pacers. Let's do just Latinas. What was building this community taught you about leadership?
That sometimes, okay, one of the things that I feel like is not talked about enough or like people can't imagine is that like whenever you're a leader and whenever you have people looking up to you or like things like that, you have to show up even when like even when you physically, emotionally like can't. And I'll give you an example of this. Like for example, like this last weekend, I love the run club. I love doing everything. Like after every single like meetup that we have, I just feel so much happiness and like the adrenaline like hits. But I will say like for example this week, it was my finals week. I'm still a student at UT. It was finals week. I was working a lot for work, and I remember by the end of the week, I just felt drained, like burnout drained. And realistically, I could have been like, you know what, I'm just gonna cancel the run club. Like I'm not gonna do it this Saturday, Sunday, etc. But in my mind, I was like, no, Suzeth, you're not doing this for you. You're doing this for other people. Like you're doing this for like the people who are trying to find a community. Again, think about your purpose and your why with the run club and why you're doing it. So I think one of the things about being a leader and especially like hosting the runs is that you have to show up for others as well, or you have to like think about like the impact and the why, even when like times get challenging. And then another thing, I mean, the basic things like balancing everything. But I think that's one of the main things, like just knowing that you have to show up and knowing that realizing like the impact that you make.
Yeah, and it's hard sometimes because you're trying to fill all these things, you're trying to fill your own cup, but then you realize, you know, you made this. That's what a leader should be. Yeah. Have you ever like been led by somebody that you were like, that's not a leader? And not like in a bad way, just like characteristics that you saw, because I saw a lot of characteristics in a leader that I was like, I don't want to do that. I don't want to represent that because it doesn't make me feel good or my team feel good. What was like things that you saw in a leader that you did not want to bring?
I feel like something that I've seen is like, for example, whenever there's girls coming to the run club, I always try to make sure to like talk to every single one of them. I will always go to them and be like, what's your name? Where are you from? Like the basic questions, like making sure that they know that I'm trying to get to know them, you know? I've seen other examples, like even with like orgs, for example, where like the leader's not that type of person, where they're like more reserved. And I understand there's a difference between like being shy and like outgoing, which I feel like I'm much outgoing now than I used to be even before I started the run club. I've forced myself to be more outgoing. But that's one thing, like seeing, for example, like them being on the side, or like, for example, not being smiley and like, you know what I mean?
More
like,
reserved, like more quiet.
Yes, more quiet. That if you are going through something that you can easily tell, and then that kind of like impacts the way you feel as well. So that's what I mean. Like I'm a strong believer in like, at least with the run club, I will always show up with like a happy face. Like I'm always going to be there for them. But that's also how I usually feel when I'm at the runs. But that's an example in like a leader. And also, I think it's okay to like balance a lot of things at once, but making sure that you still prioritize like what you're a leader for. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
For me, again, I'm a student, I work, but the run club is definitely like also a big priority for me because of how much like I love it and how much like work I've wanted to put into it. So I feel like that's another thing, when it's noticeable that it's not a priority for you, but it's like a side hobby,
side thing.
Like
yeah. And I think it's, you know, and I've said this a little bit before, but I think it's really disappointing when you go to a group and you don't meet the founder.
Yes.
Because I've gone to so many events and I don't even meet them or like get to introduce myself or vice versa. If you're trying to make that connection, just because like, you know, it can be a really big event, right? You can have maybe 100 people, which I understand. But I think if you're not putting an effort to like introduce yourself, it kind of makes like the purpose, like, yes, I'm meeting all these cool girls, but like, you know, I really want to make a founder, which you do great, because whenever I went to the run club, you were talking to every single person. Like there was 30 girls and you were talking to every single person, which can be draining, like towards the end. And I know you had a long day, like already. So it's just like, that's so incredible that you say hi to everybody, you get to know everybody, because it makes them want to come back.
Yes.
And I think that's the biggest thing. Do you have like girls that come back like every single time, like the same
Yes.
girls?
I will say a lot of the time it's usually also like new girls.
Mhm.
But yes, there's those girls that are like consistent and come back every single time, which I love seeing.
Yeah.
I love seeing because that's one of the main things as to like why I also like want to make sure that I introduce myself and like at least I get a chance to talk to them, because I'm like, I know at least from my experience, like what makes me want to come back to a place is whenever like you can see that there's genuine like interest and like
Yeah.
person from the one that like started something. So yes, I feel like it's a pretty good balance, but I love seeing whenever like people come back, or like for example, I know life gets busy sometimes, but there will be girls who will still like text me on Instagram and be like, "Hey, I can't make it to this one, but I'll be there for the
Aw.
next one." And I'm like, "Queen, you're so good. Like, don't worry about that." But it means a lot to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think your group is not just like for younger people. There's
for
been
everyone.
there's been older
Yes.
people go,
Yes,
and I'm
yes.
like, oh shoot, like that's
Yeah.
so cool. And I met some really cool people there. And the last one that I went to was really good with the breath work and
Mhm.
everything. And it was so much fun. And also I love Cafe de Lorraine.
Yes.
It's so good. And I know you go a lot there too. With your community, how does like the movement become a form of healing for you?
I would say, I mean, this kind of goes into like, for example, why I myself like choose to run or like
Mhm.
work out.
Mm-hmm.
But my main reason as to why I like running is for like whenever I'm in a very stressful season of my life, like it helps me a lot with stress.
Yeah.
Um, I will also say like it becomes, especially with running specifically, but I always like to see it like this. Like I like to think of running as like you run. Running is like an example of like you run through the challenges in life to like see the view that's awaiting you, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like
That's beautiful.
life's
Yeah.
always gonna get better. So I feel like that's one thing that I like about running and like working out, that I feel like one, you're able to distress from whatever people go through stuff. And
Mhm.
like I think that's another reason why I went to the run club. I'm like, just as a reminder that like even if you're going through stuff, at the end of the day, you have this community, you have a running club. It's a moment for you to like distress, stop thinking about like whatever is
Yeah.
going on, and just give yourself some time to like reset and like focus on yourself. Well, obviously you have a community around you.
Mm-hmm. And running's a big mental thing.
Yes.
Like it's very mental, but it's also really nice because you're like, "Ugh, you know, I ran a mile or I ran 2
Yes.
miles and I did it with these people that were so encouraging. What does wellness
Mhm.
look like beyond like physical for you? So I know you were just saying like mental.
Yes.
Like, how do you feel like when you discovered running? Did you think that it would all tie together? Because I've met a lot of people that would never think like it would help them mentally. But when I'm having a rough day, or when did you like, you know, when did you realize that you're like, oh, this is more than just running?
I think for me, well, I started running back in high school, but I think I was forced into running actually because I
Okay.
used to hate running. Like a lot of people do.
Yeah.
That's why I
It's-
encourage people to try new things. But I remember I used to hate running, and I had a class. It was whenever it was like COVID, that classes were on Zoom, and I had a running class. So our professor would make us like record our runs on Strava, and
Okay.
that's when I first like started running. Mind you, I started walking, running. It would take me like 14, 15 minutes to do 1 mile.
Okay.
And I remember like little by little, as I started getting more into it, I found myself just doing it for fun, doing it on the side, sometimes running like twice a day.
Okay.
Because it was definitely, back then, it was a difficult year. Again,
Mhm.
it was like whenever COVID was going on. So I remember I just started finding myself like loving running and loving how I was able to like distress. And like sometimes it would help me. I listen to music when I run, but sometimes it would help me in the sense of like I have all of this stuff going on, but this specific moment, at least, like all I'm thinking about is this specifically, like the
Yeah.
moment. Or
Being present.
sometimes I would also like my brain works very differently, but like sometimes I would try to organize my thoughts as I was running, or like
Yeah.
if I had something going on, like I would do that as well. Um, but I think that's when I started realizing like this is so much more than just, I mean, the physical aspect. And I feel like a lot of the reason why I work out and like am consistent with running is not necessarily because of physical aspect, but more like mentally how it has helped me. And then also, I mean, I mentioned how like it's a reminder, but I think I'm someone who loves challenging myself. And I challenge myself to running a lot because I mentioned I started at like a 14-minute pace.
Yeah.
And little by little, I started like decreasing that pace. And little by little, I started doing more miles. And right now, like, it's definitely gotten better. Sometimes I'll do like a 9-minute run. Sometimes I've done an 8-minute run. Not comfortably, but I can do it.
Yeah.
So I think that's a big difference, especially like I want to be able to like do marathons and all of that. So it's just running itself reminds me of like how to see life in other aspects as well as like ultimately in life, like you challenge yourself and you work your way up and you get more comfortable with something.
Yeah. And it's always, and I was like telling one of my new clients last night about that. I'm like, you have to get uncomfortable sometimes.
Yes.
Like it's very uncomfortable, but it's very worth it at the end because you're like, oh shit, my body could do this.
Yes.
I can't believe I did this. Running's still hard for me.
But it's okay.
It's like, it's still something that I'm not like in love with, but I like running here and there, especially like a mile or two.
Yes.
It's like, let me challenge myself to run a mile or two. My asthma can kick in, whatever, but let's just do it. Let's make it hard and challenging.
I would say there's something you mentioned, and I feel like that's also another way that I started perceiving life this year, that you were like, how beautiful it is to like be able to like move your body. But that's another thing that I noticed this year, that I'm like, it is a privilege to be able to like move, and it is a privilege to be able to do all of these things. So that's another way that I started perceiving specifically movement itself.
Yeah. And I think a lot of us take it for granted because there's not a lot of people who can unfortunately move or like something happens or, you know, but I think it's beautiful when they make it a good situation. Like, I didn't know they did like wheelchair basketball or like stuff like that. It's like so cool because they still make it a positive effort.
Yes.
Or with running, if they have like a leg and they were like, you know what, I'm still going to run. It doesn't matter.
That's something that makes me feel very empowered. I know whenever it was like the New York Marathon recently, I was seeing like through my TikTok page, like a lot of the videos of like people that it took them long to do the marathon, but they finished it. And to me, that's so inspiring. Like, I saw people finishing like super late at night, and I'm like, the fact that they were still
doing
able
it
to finish it, and they were like, that's so inspiring.
Yeah. And like have you done the Austin races here?
No, I'm planning on doing the half in February.
Oh, really? Are you excited?
Yes, I'm very excited. I'm nervous. I haven't started training.
But it's okay. You got it.
Yeah.
I think whenever I did the 10K, which is 6.2, the only goal of mine was not to stop.
Yes.
And when I tell you I did not stop and achieve my goal for just like not stopping, my legs were cooked. I could not even go up the stairs at the apartment we lived in because I was just like, oh my God, I challenged my body. I did something that was so uncomfortable. I'm not doing it again, but I did it. I did it one time and that's good enough. So for behind the scenes, like building Latinas Run ATX, was there any like challenges? Like, did you make a plan before and like, you're really good at marketing. So did you like plan the marketing and everything that you were going to do first? Or did you just like, let me just do it. I'll do it in a week and I'll post about it. Cause I saw it on TikTok.
Yes. So funny enough, I had the idea for a while. And then at some point, I think it was like end of June / beginning of July, that I was like, I want to start a run club.
Yeah.
And obviously there's a lot of like fear that comes with it, because some of my first thoughts were like, well, what if there's not that much engagement, or like, what if it doesn't go the way I want it to, or like things like that. But ultimately you have to remind yourself, like, sometimes things don't start the way you want them to, and you have to like grow and you have to like build yourself up, like things like that. So I remember, and honestly, this comes to, I feel like I'm surrounded by so many supportive people. And by that, I mean, like, for example, like my friends, whenever I first mentioned it to them, they were like, girl, do it. Like, they always support me in everything. And they were like, no, like, you've done this, like, you can do that. So I was like, you know what? Yes, I can do it. So I remember I just started doing the marketing for it. I just started doing like random videos. I do work in marketing. I work in social media. So that helped a lot. But I was like, let me just be creative with it. Let me see what I can do. Let me start posting it. See where it goes. And I remember I created the logo, and then I was like, okay, it's time. I'm gonna do it. And then after the logo, I remember I had done a video with my camera. It was like the Canon, and I posted it on TikTok and I posted it on Instagram, and there was so much engagement on TikTok. There was a lot of engagement on TikTok.
There was a lot of engagement because I was scrolling and then it came up and I was like, oh shit, there's like a new Latinas Run ATX like here in Austin, because there's, you know, and like I said earlier, that's what makes it so different. Yeah. And that's what makes it amazing and incredible, because you can have a run club, but if you don't like, what is it called? Diversify it or make it different, then it's like, why am I going to go? But this one, when I saw it, I literally sent it to like 2-3 friends. I'm like, we have to go. Yeah, because it was like before Thanksgiving, right? Or it was like
It was
not before Thanksgiving.
back in, so I think it was like end of July.
End of July.
Yeah.
There was something coming up for me, or like, oh, I forgot if it was
another video. Yeah.
I was like, oh shit, like I need to go. Yeah. And then finally, like, I met you in person, and which was so amazing. And I was like, I need to go. Like, I don't care that I don't like running. Like, I want to go. But so you're saying like all these people told you do it. Yeah. Let's go for it. Being supportive as friends should be.
Yes, I did have a lot of like support, but also again, to just straight answer your question, I just went with it. Like, I just told myself, like, you know what, do it. What happens, happens. Like, see how it goes. And then little by little, as I started seeing more people like engage with it on TikTok or like engage with it on Instagram, that's when obviously you get more confidence to like. But also something I didn't mention is I didn't add a face behind the brand at first. So like, that's one thing I hadn't like told anyone like I'm gonna be the founder of this or like anything like that. I just started posting, no face behind the brand. I was like, because that was another one of my fears, that I was like, people are gonna think she's so young. Like, how is she starting this? Like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. But
I think that's what's beautiful, because like before we started talking, you're just so mature for your age. You're 22, right?
Yes. 22.
Okay, yeah. You're so mature for your age. And I think with COVID, a lot of people kind of like backed away from human connection, like don't really go out more, don't know how to talk. And instead of like being comfortable, you did the uncomfortable already in your life, you know, leaving home, going to a school that's fucking hard and hard to get into. They declined me, which is fine.
You deserve better. That's why. Like,
she's like, you deserve better. But it's so incredible because you inspire people, like especially people who are younger, probably a freshman in UT. Like, I can do whatever I set my mind to. And that's another reason I wanted to have you on, because if I had that same mindset when I was 22, like, I think I would have accomplished things faster, but everybody's journey is different. Yes. I always say, like, don't compare your journey to anybody else. You don't know what happened behind the scenes. Like, you living paycheck to paycheck, living by yourself, working all the time, working every summer. You didn't even go home. So it's like, people praise you, but they don't see what you went through, which is like kind of unfortunate, because you're like, girl, I've been through all of this already. That's how I got to where I'm at. And I think it's a beautiful story to have behind your run club. And I think it's amazing. Do you have like any like more collaborations or new vision that you're excited about?
For the run club, yes. So
you don't have to say like the brand
specifically. Well, yeah. No, but I will say I definitely want to do a lot more. Again, like different coffee shops. That's one of my thing with the run club. I usually like doing different coffee shops in different parts of the trail, because for myself, that's one of my favorite like Austin activities. So I like to get to share that with the girls. But I will also say I want to incorporate a lot more activities. So like we had the vision boards this last run, and I think that was such an amazing way for the girls to actually connect. Like, a lot of the girls stayed for like longer.
Oh shit. Okay.
And they were still talking, and you would just hear them laughing, like actually getting the opportunity to connect. So I think that's something that I definitely want to like start incorporating more, looking towards 2026. And then hopefully maybe collaborating. We might do another Miles of Hope.
Okay.
Would probably already.
I love it. I had Alondra earlier this weekend, this past weekend.
Yes.
Alondra, I love her so much.
She's amazing. She's a girl boss too. So that's
she is.
Yeah.
She was teaching me like I was in a flow state, and I said flow state. Yeah. She's like, people are saying that. Yes. I was like, oh shit, okay.
That's a TikTok trend.
I know, right? Yeah. I need to be more up to date.
But with her as well, I was happy that she reached out again, and then possibly I want to grow Austin like Latinas Run ATX as much as I can.
Yeah.
But possibly expanding it to other cities as well.
Yes. Which I love, like, because a lot of people do that actually. Like they have Latinas Run Club ATX, or they have like here in Houston or Dallas, which is incredible because it can be more of a thing. And since it's a run club, I do want to ask, if you were to expand it to other cities, would you have somebody running it here?
Yes. Okay. Yes. So my plan is hopefully, obviously a lot of like the behind the scenes, like the marketing, the social media, the logistics, reaching out for partnerships, etc., things like that, I can still do from like remote and online. But I do have in mind like my people and like who would be the people like leading the run club here. And I love Austin, so I still plan to like come to visit and everything, but I would still want to like obviously be very involved.
Yeah, for sure. And for you, what, like, let's start off with like what's little goals that you'd like to share for 2026?
For 2026, I would say a lot of them have to do with just like focusing on myself too, but I definitely want to travel a lot more. I didn't grow up traveling that much. Again, has to do with like the way I grew up with. But I traveled for the first time to Europe this past summer. I did study abroad for a whole month in Barcelona, and I got to go to a lot of different places in Europe, which definitely like opened my mind a lot because it was my first time traveling. I got to, for example, like do a solo day in Paris, like things like that. That to me, I was like, I want to be able to do a lot more solo traveling. I feel like it teaches you and like a lot more about yourself. So that's one thing. Also, pursuing more things that I am uncomfortable with.
Okay.
So again, one thing, for example, was like the idea of a run club intimidated me at first, especially like starting something at a young age. But I want to keep telling myself and reminding myself, like, even if you're uncomfortable with something, like, just do it. Because you never know what you can get out of it. And then I am in marketing / content creation. So like for my content creation side, like I want to be able to like partner with a lot of different brands.
Yeah.
I feel like I've grown way more comfortable in social media than I used to be. Like before I used to be like in a way like scared to post, or like I didn't like posting as much. Now I post anything and everything. Like I love posting.
You look good in your pictures. I'm just like, damn, I can't take pictures like that.
No, you look good as well. I love and I live for your videos. Like yes.
You're so sweet.
I'm gonna ask you for editing tips
I try. But I think it's so different though, because you see both sides. Like you do social media for personal, but I know it's way different for like a company.
Yes.
Can you like separate that a little bit for people who don't know, or for people who want to go in marketing? Because I've never thought about how different it is when you do social media for a business and a brand compared to like your own personal, because your own personal is your own brand.
Yeah.
So how would you separate the two?
A lot of it, I would say, just comes to like learning how to recognize like, again, the different audiences, like the tone of voice and like things like that, which at first back then I would not be able to recognize because I didn't have experience with that. But I will say, like, I've done a couple of like internships and jobs through my 4 years. Again, I've worked every semester, and I've gotten the opportunity to work, like, for example, in like real estate. I've done marketing for an agency. I worked with like Capital One for an agency. What else? Visit Austin, which is like hospitality and tourism. It's like I've worked with a lot of different brands, ultimately helping me recognize like what kind of tone of voice I want to use for a company.
Oh, okay.
So it's a lot about like the experience and like the skills that I learned from that. But my separating that from my own personal brand is very different because, for example, my own personal brand's like lifestyle, fashion, beauty. Fun fact, I've never worked in fashion or beauty for like marketing, so it's a completely different industry. But I think it ultimately just comes to like knowing what your audience is, and like sometimes even like trying out new things in marketing, like being able to like
new styles. How do you feel about like the carousel things like going on, like all the different carousels that brands are using? That's like popping off a lot now, sometimes even more than reels. Does your company like, you don't have to say your company at all, but like, does your company do it? I know you do it a lot on your personal. Like, do you see the difference between video and carousels now?
Yes. Especially, I will say, I feel like a lot of companies are starting to do more carousels, as you mentioned, and not necessarily only on Instagram or like TikTok, but for example, like carousels on LinkedIn, which is very funny because like LinkedIn's a very professional platform. And for LinkedIn, it's another platform that I've grown more comfortable in, both like for my own personal brand and for like my companies. But I remember, I will say something that I've noticed and that I feel like I've seen from, again, my own brand and like where I work and like where I've worked in the past, is that reels tend to help a lot with engagement. Or even like from doing the Run Club itself, like reels help a lot with engagement in comparison to like a carousel post. But I'm someone who always loves seeing like whenever people try new trends and new things on social media. Like that to me is so exciting and so fun because ultimately like I adapted to my own like content creation and things.
Which I love. And it's like, which is, I didn't know that about LinkedIn because it's such a professional platform. But then I see people doing carousels and I'm like, oh shit, like I didn't know you could bring it on a professional like resume, you know? But I think as you get older, and I think it's different in each career. In my career personally, my profile is like on Instagram is kind of like my resume.
Yeah.
I know like before I got like attached with some gyms, like they viewed my Instagram and see what I bring and who I target. Will it work with them or not? So that's why I'm just like, okay, I can do lifestyle, but I make sure I keep my fitness in there because that's what I do. And for people who want to pursue marketing, what advice would you tell them if they're just starting?
If they're just starting, I would say, I think it goes back. I'm someone who always emphasizes like just try things out.
Yeah.
But I think one of the things that helped me a lot with marketing, my first ever role was in social media. And it feels very full circle because my full-time role is going to probably be like in social media / marketing. So I think one of the things that I would mention to someone is to like not be afraid to like pursue something if it catches your attention. Also sometimes like reach out to people that you follow or you see as a role model. Like I feel like that's been a huge thing for me, that there's a lot of people that I admire, like the work that they do with marketing and social media. And I reach out to them. I'm like, hey, can we chat about this? Hey, can we talk about like this? And just seeing their own journeys with social media and like marketing like inspires me a lot. Also, another thing that I would like to mention is like a lot of people perceive marketing and social media as, for example, like it tends to pay less, or like the job market's really bad, like the opportunities are not there, like things like that. Ultimately like being scared, and that totally makes sense because I remember whenever I first looked into marketing, I asked myself like, but would it pay enough? Like would it be good enough? Things like that that were in my mind and I was scared of. But I think if they try it out, and when you are really passionate about something, you're going to find that ultimately passion like wins above like everything else. Because I know for me, it's like, I love marketing. I am extremely passionate about social media and marketing. I mean, I wouldn't be if I didn't do it for my career or for the run club for myself. Like a lot of my days feel like I'm doing social media.
But you're so good at it.
Thank you.
Like
We're
you're
trying.
so good. Like you're so good. And you know, it probably didn't look like that in the beginning.
No, it did not at all.
Because like I look at videos back then, I'm like, oh my God, what was I thinking?
No, I get you. But I will say that's another thing that aligns with it. Like sometimes you have to research on your own and learn things on your own. I feel like that's what a lot of like my early like stations in marketing looked like, where I would just research on my own and like look up skills on my own and like do things on my own. And also to not be afraid to do mistakes. Like that, I feel like that's such a common thing in like social media, whether it's like a small mistake, like I posted this wrong, I messed up the caption, I messed up the post, to like obviously like big things, but like don't be too harsh on yourself and put too much pressure on yourself. I feel like that's another thing.
Well, and I agree with that tremendously. I think failure is part of the success. You're gonna fail more times than you succeed. I always say that. I'm just like, you got to go through the hard part first. You're gonna mess up. But you're learning. You're learning through the whole experience, especially in marketing, because I know marketing's really hard. So I do want to like hit this little bit. If little Suzeth could look at you now, what would you tell her?
I think especially this year, because this year, again, I'm in my last year of college, but I feel like something that I realized this year is that I accomplished a lot of things that were out of reach to me when I was little. A lot of things that when I was little, I would think like, oh, this is so out of reach. Like I'm never going to be able to do it. Specifically growing up, again, low income in the community that I grew up late. It's like statistically, and even just in general, like I didn't think that would be even possible for me. I'll give you a couple of examples of, I feel like starting off, I think I would tell my like little me that I am so proud of her, and that, like, to literally keep doing what she's doing, because everything that she has tried to like accomplish, everything that she has said for herself, I have accomplished, thankfully. And I'm confident enough to say that now. But like if you would have asked me this like 3 years ago, I'd probably be like, I don't know, like way more shy about it. But I'll give you examples of like this year. For example, Paris. I traveled to Paris. That to me seemed so out of reach when I was little. My whole room is still decorated with like the Eiffel Tower in like Paris. So I remember whenever I saw the Eiffel Tower, I literally started tearing up for the little me. Like that was the little girl in me to see like, wow, she came here. Another thing is career-wise. I got to work at an agency. I got to work at like my dream company. I am doing full-time with my dream company as well. So like, I think things like that I would have never imagined. Also, starting a run club and actually being able to like impact women and like empower other women, like the little me wouldn't have thought that she would even do that.
Yeah.
But ultimately, it just comes to like see how confident I've grown over the years. And that's another thing that I don't think I had that. I didn't have that confidence back then. I was afraid to like even start things, to like say things out loud, like things like that. I was very reserved and shy. And now I'm just very proud of like how confident I've become. And also that no matter how challenging life gets, I still always like get through everything. But I think that again comes with the hardships in life that I always remind myself, like, times are going to be difficult sometimes, but just know that what's meant for you will be for you.
Yes.
If you work for it also, but something I realized is that everything does work out at the end. Y todo su tiempo.
Yeah.
I always remind myself this, but like everything comes with time.
Yeah. And I agree with that a lot because little you would be so proud. Okay. Like little you would be like, holy shit, we did it. We fucking did the thing. We're 22 years old and look how much we accomplished. But I think also coming back to what you said, I'm very big on affirmations and like everything will work out. What's not meant for you what's meant for you will not surpass you. And I tell people that all the time. What you put out in the world and all the positive things will happen, but you got to put in the work. Like, it's not just going to come to your door and be like, I'm here. Yeah. It's going to be like, you have to put in the work. It's going to be hard. Like, I've worked so many weekends because I want to get there with all the work. And people forget like, oh, well, you know, it's not meant for me or it's not going to happen. No, if it's already in your brain, it's already there. Yeah. You just got to work for it. And I feel like people forget that.
No. And also, I think I just forgot to mention that too.
No, you're good. You're good.
But again, everything comes with time. And this year specifically showed me again that what's meant for you will be for you. Because like I forgot to mention this, but it will already be everybody. I am moving to New York.
Okay.
And that to me was something that I wished for myself, even like back in high school. Like I really wanted to go to NYU. Like that was my dream university. I've been wanting to move for like the past 7-8 years of my life. And I told myself like, whenever I was in my senior year of college, I applied, didn't get in. And I told myself like, you know what? Everything happens for a reason. It's about how you're going to look forward to it. So I told myself like, I am going to make it a goal to still move. I know I'm eventually going to move if I keep working towards it. And I set this like little goal for myself that I was like, I'm going to visit 5 times before I move there. I just visited.
Yes, recently?
Like literally 2 weeks ago. It was my 5th time visiting. And I am moving next August.
There you go.
So yeah.
Isn't that so exciting?
Yes, it is very exciting. But I think that to me was probably the biggest. That was like the biggest dream.
Yeah, that was the top.
That was the top. And obviously as you grow older, you set more dreams,
you
more
evolve,
goals for yourself.
yes.
But that to me was like that dream.
Yeah.
So
you're the real life Gossip Girl. You're the Latina version. Cause
the
like,
Latina version of Gossip
yes,
Girl.
Gossip Girl. Cause you know, I've never been to New York and I did want to talk to you a little bit about that. I didn't know if you wanted to share it,
yes.
But I have always wanted to go to New York because my family's from Chicago. Yes. So I kind of get the vibe of what New York's like. And I love Chicago. And I always say that if I didn't get married or like if my relationship didn't work out, I would have moved to Chicago because I have family there. No matter how cold it gets. But
you would still
I was like, I'd still move.
Yeah.
And, you know, I never thought that I would stay in Austin or like, you know, my family's here, my immediate family. But I think New York is such a place of dreamers. It's very diverse from what I've been told. Yeah. It's so like, I know people say New York people are mean. I don't believe it yet because I haven't been there yet. Yeah. But I think you being there, you're going to bring joy to other people that you're going to meet. They're going to be like, holy shit, you moved across the country. Because some people don't move from New York. They stay there. They're like, that's it. Yeah. And I'm really excited for you. I'm really excited to see what you're going to do over there. So you move in August, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, it honestly just depends. I start my full-time in August. So
okay.
Anytime before then.
How advanced could they do that? Because you told me earlier this year, how advanced can they give you a position like that? I didn't know that they could do that.
For working?
Yeah.
Well, it depends. I did an internship with the company,
Mhm.
and then I got my return offer. So I found out since August.
Okay.
I signed my full-time back in August, which I am so grateful for
Yeah.
because usually the recruiting process is very hard, and it's definitely like another level and stage of stress. But
Yeah. Are they gonna help you move over there?
Yes.
Okay,
In
cool.
a way. But
Okay.
I will say like definitely housing in New York is very difficult, challenging.
Yeah.
Like I have to myself like find an apartment and like do
Yeah.
everything else. But según yo, I was supposed to go this past 2 weeks to like look at apartments. It's too early.
Yeah.
So I'm just gonna wait until
Do you know what area you want to be on?
I would love I mentioned I visited New York like a couple times.
Yeah.
So thankfully I have gotten a sense of like the different
Vibe.
neighborhoods.
Mhm.
But dream neighborhood, and it just depends again to like cost and like other
Yes.
factors as well. But I would love to live in like West Village. I love Greenwich. It's a very young area, specifically on Greenwich. I'm also very open to like the like East Village. So
Okay.
it's a lot of like different places. Something I've thought about too, at least from like people that I've heard, because I have like 2 friends who recently moved there, is a lot of people live in Brooklyn. And they
Okay.
just commute to the city.
Yeah.
But preferably, since I love the city and I love going on like runs and things like that, and I mean it's gonna be a 9 to 5.
Yes.
Like I think about it, then I would prefer to live right
over there.
Yeah.
The Brooklyn Bridge. I need to see
If
it.
you want to go ever, there's free housing. I'm just letting you know.
Okay. Okay.
You have free housing.
Well, it's crazy because I was like last year. I was telling my friend next year in 2026, I'm fucking going to New York.
Yes.
I don't care.
And
Like,
we're manifesting
yeah,
it right
I was
now.
like, I'm going to New York, even if I go by myself, because my husband doesn't like traveling,
Yeah.
which is fine. But I think what I love is that he lets me,
Just be
if you want to
yourself.
go, go. If you want to go to Chicago, go, which I have. If you want to go here, go. And I just think that's so awesome. And I think a lot of people can be inspired by your story.
Thank you.
So I do want to do like a little, whatever comes to your mind, kind
Okay.
of rapid fire.
Okay.
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 Whatever comes first to your mind. What's one truth you're standing on this season of your life?
I always look at this, it's a quote specifically, but I always say that the highest frequency that attracts everything you desire is like self-love.
Mm-hmm.
I think ultimately in order to empower other people, you have to be able to like empower yourself first and like be that confident person, like etc. So I think that's one thing. Like self-love to me comes at the end of everything. I love doing little things for myself, and I feel like I've gotten better at that. Like, but like for example, it's things like getting myself coffee in the morning, or like going on a workout class for myself, or going on runs like that. I think you have to be able to like recognize when you need rest, or when you need a break, or when you have to tell your. And this is something that I've gotten better at because I think in the past years, you get to a point where like I don't know if you are able to relate to this, but you get to a point where like accomplishments no longer feel like accomplishments because you feel like it's something you had to do. You know what I mean? Like you just feel like
I feel that.
even like small things or like big wins. And this is something that I want to get better in 2026 and remind myself like big wins and small wins, like you have to be able to acknowledge them, and you have to be able to tell yourself like, yes, you did that, like I'm proud of you, etc. You know, like give yourself some love sometimes. But I feel like yes, ultimately self-love is the highest frequency that attracts everything you desire. And I mentioned this too, but again, todo su tiempo, like just trusting the process. And it goes to the whole thing of like everyone is in different paths. So I feel like that's a reminder to everyone, like everyone's in different paths. Don't compare your path to others people's, because ultimately like what's meant for you will be for you. And the biggest thing is like sometimes things take longer, but it's because they were worth the wait.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love that.
Yes.
Some things just take longer for you because I think it's meant to be bigger.
Yes.
And that's what I love.
Yeah.
What's your go-to hype song when you want to feel motivated?
Oh my God.
It could be an artist or it could be a song.
No, I actually have 2 songs.
Okay.
Fun fact, before every interview, I play The Empire State of Mind. My past
Okay,
years.
really?
Before every interview, I play The
I haven't
Empire
heard
State
that
of
song in
Mind.
forever.
And also, the song that I love listening to recently is Alien Superstar by Beyonce.
Oh, I haven't heard that song.
It says like Forever That Girl, and then it says something like, it says something about like bad bitch mentality and things like that. So I love it. I just feel like it aligns.
I love that. So finish the sentence.
Okay.
I'm becoming the woman who
is pursuing and accomplishing everything that she wants that was out of reach.
I love that.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yes.
Okay. So to close it off, where can people find you? I'm going to actually leave the description for her socials for Latinas Run ATX as well as her personal. But where do you feel like people can find you in Austin if they ever wanted to connect or reach out, like a local coffee shop? Obviously, I'm not trying to be like stalker wise.
Yeah, she's like,
but
let me give you all her address. And
no, not stalker wise, but I guess like, you know, I think there's a lot of people, especially younger, who's going to relate to this so much, who feel like their goals are super out of reach and don't think, no matter what minority, like it doesn't have to just be like Latinas, but like there's a lot of everybody, because everybody comes from different circumstances. Or you know what, let's do this. What would you say in one word to somebody if they come up to you and like, oh, I don't think I could ever do this?
I would just tell them that literally like anything's possible. I think this year taught me like anything's possible. Again, there's no such thing as something being out of reach. I feel like in this life we must pursue everything that we want. So I would just tell them like anything's possible. Like there's people who like just anything's possible, and I hope I'm able to like inspire that upon people, and like I hope people are able to like see my story and be like, you know what, no, that anything is possible, and feel encouraged enough to like pursue their own like dreams and passions. But I will say like I've had people like reach out for coffee shops this year and things like that. I'm always open for going on coffee, a walk on the trail, a run, anything. Yes. I
love it. Okay, well, I do want to close it off and say that if Suzette's story related to you, make sure to subscribe, follow the Coffee Slut Podcast on all the socials. I'll leave it in the description below. And also I will leave her Instagram for Latinas Run and her personal, if you ever want to reach out and connect, especially if you're a UT student, you know, you only got a couple months with this girl, so you better hurry up. Right, for real? So the conversation doesn't end here. There's going to be more conversations for the Coffee Slut Podcast that I can't wait to share with you guys. And I just, you know, nobody has it figured out. It comes with time. You evolve and you change, and you'll never believe what you can accomplish if you never try. So I'll sign off and I'll see you in the next episode. Do you want to finish off with anything before you?
Just again, I hope this was able to inspire you, and thank you so much for having me.
Of course, I loved having you. All right, guys, I'll see you in the next episode.